Brad said yesterday that one of the needs he thinks that this team has is a bigger wing, and he thinks that role can be filled within the roster. What kind of players or which players on the roster do you think could potentially kind of step up and start to fill that role you guys have talked about?
All of them. It just depends on the night, the lineup, the situation. Every guy on the roster has done their job when their name has been called, and it's just a matter of staying ready. But they all got to be ready to fill any type of role that we need.
Is Al a go tonight?
Is he? No, Al's out.
What does Scott Morrison mean to your career? What impact has he had on you?
Nothing. No, Scott is one of my favorite people. So the day I got hired here, in Maine, I got a call from Scott. I was playing golf with my dad, and he got me into the G League. And from day one, he empowered me, and he opened my eyes to player development. What that looks like, how to organize it, how to translate an edit into a workout, and how to organize a workout based on just different situations. And so he changed the game for me personally. And off the court, just gaining his experience, the fact that he's been in the league and then he's gotten out of the league and now he's back in, I'm really happy for him. His kids are beautiful kids. His wife is great. Just a great guy. So I'm happy he's back in the league, and I'm happy he's with Will.
Why do you think you're elite defensively?
I don't think we're there yet, but I think we're working on it. I'd say the majority of the time, our guys, 90% of the time, our guys take pride in their individual defense, which is the number one thing. Is you have to have a group of guys that care about defense and understand that it's important. And 9 to 9.5 times out of 10, our guys understand that. I think looking at it today, our transition defense is good when we don't turn the ball over and we execute well offensively. And then our guys do a good job of executing different schemes and different matchups. So you have to have a level of effort. You have to take pride in individual defense, and you got to be willing to adjust. And our guys do that.
Joe, what did you take from your interview in Utah and your experience there?
One, never wear a suit ever again. I wore a suit and I was the most uncomfortable. Really pissed that I did that. It's useless.
What should you have worn?
What I'm wearing right now. But it was interesting. I think I appreciated that I got to go through that, especially doing it out of a different organization. You got to see what other organizations, how they run things, what they're looking for. And then you got to just put yourself up to the test. So I kind of felt like going into that interview, they asked me a particular question that I wasn't quite ready to answer, and it was like, do you think at a young age you can like run an organization? And I knew I could, but I didn't give off the answer that I needed to give to get the job. And so that kind of going through that process helped me, articulate, my strengths and what I think I could do. And it was a good process to have to go through.
Is that something you thought about as you became the Celtics coach and asked yourself that? Is that something that became kind of a...
I think after answering the question, I've done it before. I don't think, I think if you take away the glitz and glamour of like the Celtics or the NBA, running an organization, the values, the principles, leadership principles are the same. And so I think answering that question in the Utah situation and looking at leadership from that standpoint, and knowing that, you've done it in the past, you can do it, it just may look different, and you may have to have different values or principles depending upon the environment or the culture that you're in. But that's been the most exciting thing, especially in this offseason, is creating that environment. And like, you don't know, you have values that you stand for as a person, but you don't know what those may be as an organization until you're in it and you work together with people to figure out what those are. And so creating an environment and developing values and systems and processes has been probably the most fun for me this offseason. And then working through those and developing those further and like adjusting those as time goes on is kind of what I like doing, even more than the basketball stuff at times.
Can you give an example of that?
Which part?
Like one of those systems or processes or something?
Yeah, I think, first systems of like how you want to handle your staff, how you empower your staff, what the roles are in each staff, what's the system of, flowing information, from the assistants to the head coach, how do you empower those guys, your player development system, what that looks like, who's in charge of it, how you get that translated to the court, the system of building values, like I said, I have values personally, but you have to have collective values, you have to have collective responsibility, you got to develop an identity of an organization and you know, it takes time to do that. On day one, you say you're gonna do it, and then the season presents opportunities for you to be able to live that out, and sometimes you succeed at it, and sometimes you don't, and you have to grow at it. So I think just that whole process of it.
Was that something that the Jazz informed you that your answer to that wasn't good enough, or was that something that you just thought?
I felt it.
As you,
Yeah.
just
I could
your
just
own
feel it.
feeling?
Yeah.
And then how would?
Not that they were wrong in that, but I mean, you know, like, they made the right choice in hiring Will. Just want to be clear on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not as good a coach as Will?
No.
But for real, how?
No, for real.
No, I mean, my question coming up is.
Oh, okay.
How would your answer to that, obviously you wish you were given a different answer, but how would it change now going through some of the stuff you've been than it would have been even after you thought about it?
Yeah. I mean, my answer should have been, I mean, I don't remember what my answer was, but I could just feel the sense that I didn't sell it the way I should have, or I didn't give the affirmation that I should have. And so, it's funny, when this situation came up last year, Brad asked me the same question, and I said yes. And that should have just been more simple, like yes. You know, so the same question came about, and I was like, yeah. But going through that process of the Utah is what gave me a little bit of the affirmation, a little bit of the process of, like, anytime you go through an interview and you don't get it, you're able to take, you know, what went well, what didn't, and you get more information from that, you know?
Coach, as you watch the Jazz, with so many moving pieces, what stands out to you the most as far as, you know, how to best?
They play hard. They play really hard. All of them, no matter who's in the lineup or who's not, they just play with a level of intensity throughout the entire game. I think that's number one. They do a great job of switching up between pick and roll and off ball throughout the game, you know, which is, I think, a key. So they can change the rhythm and change the speed of a game, you know, with pick and roll sets, with off ball sets. And they're going to they change defenses, you know, so they're just, you know, obviously well coached, play really hard, and their schematics, they do a great job of changing them based on, you know, what their roster is and what the game calls for.
And you know,